Here at Celtic Park, it was a very straightforward night for Celtic, and probably just what they needed, given the kind of the wild and incredible events and dramatic events of the last few days. I see Daniel touched on it. There was a protest outside the ground before the game, a few thousand fans. I didn't think it was that vociferous, to be honest with you. I went and kind of look around and see what's going on. There was a few chants and songs and all that stuff. I didn't think it was too over the top, but the message we received from Dermot Desmond was here tonight. A rare appearance at Celtic Park. He got a warm welcome and walking into the ground, as you can imagine. He was told where to go, and it wasn't up the steps. That's for sure. And there's a few chants throughout the night. It's a strange atmosphere because obviously the ire in the stand is not going away, but there's also the warmth for Martin O'Neill. And it was bizarre seeing Martin O'Neill with a tracksuit on and a pair of coppers as well. The old coppers on as well. It was and fair play to him. If you kind of squinted, it just looked like the olden days. Really, he was jumping about the touchline. He barely sat down. He sprung up when they scored and all that stuff. I said, if you kind of a slight squint, it looked like 2003 all over again. And then I stand up at the end, I feel my knees, and think that's definitely not 2003 all over again. My creaking joints, unfortunately. But I think it was probably what Celtic as a club needed. It was like a real. It became a bit of a feel-good kind of night, having the kind of the bad temper stuff and the kind of mean and moody kind of atmosphere in the club in recent weeks and months. I've also got to say this wasn't some nostalgia fest and a kind of rewind festival. There was actually some interesting things happening on the pitch as well. Very direct, get the ball forward quickly. Didn't always come off, but it seemed to be that the much talked about horseshoe of doom, what you call it, or horseshoe of death, or what you call it. It was different. It was definitely more direct. It was not too much in terms tactically, a lot of tweaks. Austin Trusty coming back at the team for the first time. It was a kind of telling point. He was in Siberia for a few months under Brendan Rodgers. You had Engels and Negrin both playing in the middle of the park for the first time. Negrin playing the left and Engels in the right. Tried a lot of balance. And I thought Celtic were pretty good. So very direct, got the ball forward. Johnny Kenny getting a couple of goals. Probably does have a lot of good. A lot of folk were doubting him and criticising him. He scored a couple of goals, could have had a couple more. Negrin scoring. I mean, Brendan Negrin must be the most bewildering player I think I've seen for a long time. I mean, Martin O'Neill doesn't believe in XG. I'd love to see Negrin's XG. It must be about 140 expected goals. The amount of chances the guy misses is unbelievable. But he's in there. He's in there. He's creating and he's causing a bit of havoc. If he could finish, you couldn't buy him. I mean, I think this is why he's £2 million and not 200 million quid, because he's missing 3 sitters a game and scoring and an assist. So he's. I mean, talk about data and all that stuff. His data must be through the roof because of that, and that's why Celtic have already got him. He's very effective. I mean, if he could finish, it would be unbelievable. And I think there's a bit of physicality issues in games against tougher opponents. And I say Falkirk weren't great. A couple of cheap goals in there as well. But all in all, I think it was a kind of trip down memory lane, but also a kind of bit of positivity for the future.
You know, Mick, I heard that story, Dan. I heard an interview with Martin O'Neill there just a couple of minutes before we come on. And you know what he's like, and you know he's playing the old kind of, silly old me, I'm just a wee Irish guy. And, you know, and he kind of did it the first time around. Now he's doing it, but now I'm really old as well. And just ignore it, right? Because he's so much more smarter. And he throws out all these red herrings. But in a radio interview, he said, well, you know, that's great. And I'm hoping to see more of that from Johnny Kenny, whether it's whether I'm a long time here or probably just a shorter time. And then the interviewer picked him up and said, sorry, what was that, Martin? Longer time? Oh, no, slip of the tongue. And you're thinking, And I do wonder. I know that, you know, we'll probably talk about this. We'll probably talk about the fact that Celtic have launched a search for Brendan Rodgers' replacement. Paul Tisdale's in charge of it. I don't think that Martin O'Neill is completely given up on the idea that, you know what, if I get a number of results here, you just don't know.
We were talking about it in the press room. I said, is it too early to ask the question if he's going to be here for the long term? It's too early. It's not. Listen, I think that's not even on the agenda. I still don't think it's not. It's not going to be a realistic option. What nights like tonight does is buys them a bit more time. It's Rangers on Sunday, a different ball game, completely, and the narrative will completely flip if that result doesn't go Celtic's way. If it goes their way, then I think the questions might come in, but I still think it's way off that stage. I don't think it's way off the agenda at this point in time. I think very much full steam ahead for a new manager, with a target of being perhaps an international break. I think.
We've got tons of comments coming in already, guys. If you want to get involved, please do so. The one player that we haven't mentioned yet, Mick, is Marcello Saracchi. Robert says he was unreal. He was like 2 Tierneys. John says Saracchi was the most impressive player tonight. He's given Martin O'Neill a bit of a headache ahead of Sunday, hasn't he?
Potentially. I think he's been looked pretty impressive anytime he's played, to be honest with you, in the odd bumpy moment, but I think he's looked pretty decent. And as he builds fitness, he hadn't played an awful lot since kind of February, March. As he builds fitness, I think he's been all impressive. He's very good going forward. He can go inside and out. I think at a time when Celtic are needing kind of a width and attacking options, I think he like tonight he was excellent. Again, you've got to take into account Falkirk started okay, held on. I mean, the first goal was crucial, but after that, the game was up. And John McGinn says straight away, "Oh, it's not about tonight; it's about Sunday." But so I would take it a wee bit of pinch of salt. But I thought Saracchi was good. I think he has been good. I think Kieran Tierney obviously playing 3 games in a week took its toll on him a wee bit. So you think he might be okay for Sunday, but he's a very good option to have. And the way he keeps playing, he is going to start asking that question because I think Kieran Tierney. I don't think people have been quite critical of him. I don't think he's been that bad. I think he's been decent at times. He's clearly having to build up his fitness. He's clearly not quite there. But it's definitely thrown a spanner in the works. I mean, it's a good option to have for Celtic at the moment.
Do you think if he's fit, if Tierney's fit rather, he'll start at the weekend?
I would think so. Also in terms of experience, I mean, Kieran Tierney he's been in this fixture many times. He's played at a high level in Premier League in England, played in Spain, played for Scotland. He's an experienced campaigner who knows what it's about, who knows what this game's about. I think he still, for me, would get the nod. And also he's got a lot of ability. Don't forget he's got ability as well.
Yeah, and let's get it right, guys. That was Martin O'Neill being shrewd and just saying, Kieran Tierney, I'm wrapping you up in cotton wool tonight, son. There is no way that I want you to go out there and play midweek and again on Sunday. So Kieran Tierney was allowed his feet up tonight specifically for Sunday, in my opinion.
Very much so. But I say I think you're now at the position you can say to Kieran Tierney, go out and give us an hour of the old school, full on, full pelt, 100% up and down the pitch, and don't worry about it because after half an hour to go, I've got another guy who's going to come in with no bother. So go and empty your tank and see how you get on. So I think it's good to have those options.
Well, what was the mood like in the place, Mick? Because obviously, and I think we've got a video, some footage of what was going on outside the front doors before kickoff. So with Martin O'Neill coming back, a sort of an emotional outpouring towards him, a 4-0 victory. Did you feel that over the course of that 90 minutes things were healing a little bit, or on the final whistle was it mumping and moaning?
No, it was a strange. I must admit, it was a strange atmosphere because it was almost like Celtic fans would kind of enjoy the moment and say the feel good factor, the kind of, as I say, the rewind festival kind of feeling about the nostalgia of it all, and enjoy the fact the team are playing good football as well, good, fast, direct football, which has been lacking this season. Mm-hmm. But every time it seemed to be any time they did allow that to happen, they kind of caught themselves and kind of blasted it at Desmond or Michael Dickinson or the board in general. It was almost like, whoa, enough of this frivolity. Let's get back to business. There's a bit of that as well. So it was a strange atmosphere. It was a kind of strange atmosphere, swinging between kind of party and protest. I tell you what, sometimes that's the best part, isn't it?
I tell you what, though, it does set it up really interesting. I know we'll talk about the Rangers game later. I think we'll be joined from Easter Road by Fraser Wilson. But Rangers, you mentioned that Celtic were more direct tonight under Martin O'Neill, getting the ball forward more quickly. That was the exact same case again with Rangers under Danny Rowe tonight. In the game that I watched, there's a lot more aggression and intensity to the way that they're trying to set up. So, I mean, look, given how bad the first Old Firm game of the season was, it's unlikely to be any worse than that. But I just feel if you've got two sides now that are set up to be front-footed and aggressive and a little bit more direct, I think we could get a real humdinger at hand.
But it always is. I mean, I think the last Derby game was so bad. I mean, it was so non-eventful. And the reason why I think it stood out so much because it's never like that. I mean, there's so many epic battles through the years, and it very, very rarely lets everyone down. You had 3 each games, and I mean, usually loads of goals. I think it was only the third or fourth goalless draw in about 20 years in that fixture.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a standout for being so epically bad. I think this one's set up to be a cracker by hook or by crook, because I think both sides, like you say, are vulnerable. They've got new kind of management teams in the dugouts and all that stuff, and there's so much at stake. I think it's going to be an absolute cracker.
Yeah,
I agree with you, and that's one of those ones that you do think anything could happen. Mm-hmm. Absolutely anything could happen.
100%, Mick. And I think looking back to that first Old Firm game of the season at Ibrox, that was a game. The two teams looked terrified of it, and the two teams looked perfectly happy to settle, shake hands on a point each, and up the road with no real damage done.
Aye.
That rule, that philosophy cannot apply to this game for all the opposite reasons. It's a semi-final. Somebody has to win it, so you've got to go and try and win it. And now I think you've got two managers that might be a little bit more direct and aggressive about trying to how they set the team out. So I honestly think we could be in for absolute mayhem on Sunday.
Yeah, if the first game is keys up, this is gloves are off, isn't it?
Aye.
Do you know what? I know I'm all over the place here, Keith, but as you mentioned, we do have video footage of the protest outside Celtic Park. Should we squeeze that in here before we need to let Mick go?
Yeah.
Let's have a little look.
Was Mick in the front?
I should apologise for any bad language that was picked up there, but we're after the 10 o'clock watershed. But aye, it was pretty intense, Mick.
Yeah. No, I, to be honest with you, I was filming some of that footage and it didn't look as intense as that. If I see it back, it looks far more feisty than I thought it was at the time.
I thought I'd been in the front row there, Mick.
I thought that someone got a funny coloured vape that they're using. It was a flare that, wasn't it? Yeah, listen, it was a sizable crowd making their feelings known. I think you can't. I'm not being kind of joke about it. It was a decent enough crowd giving it loudly. So